The only way the ancient astronaut theory can be disproven is when the extraterrestrials show up and say, we were never here in the past.
Somewhere between a History Channel studio and the depths of the internet, a man with wild hair and unwavering conviction accidentally became one of the most recognizable human beings on the planet. Not because of a blockbuster film, not because of a scandal, and not because of a record-breaking achievement, but because of a single screenshot that the internet decided was too perfect to let die. That man is Giorgio A. Tsoukalos, and his story is far stranger, far more layered, and far more human than any meme ever captured. To understand where Giorgio Tsoukalos stands today, you have to understand where he came from, because nothing about his trajectory was predictable. He was born on March 14, 1978, in Lucerne, Switzerland, to a Greek father and an Austrian mother. That cultural intersection, Mediterranean curiosity meeting Central European discipline, shaped a young man who grew up feeling genuinely fascinated by civilizations that predated the modern world. Ancient ruins, unexplained structures, and stories that history textbooks seemed to rush past became the quiet obsessions of his childhood. That curiosity followed him across an ocean when he enrolled at Ithaca College in New York, graduating in 1998 with a bachelor's degree in communications. A degree in communications for a man who would one day become famous for communicating the most controversial archaeological theories on cable television. In retrospect, it almost feels designed. But here is where the story takes its first genuinely unexpected turn. After graduating, Tsoukalos did not walk into a television studio or begin writing articles about extraterrestrial civilizations. Instead, he stepped into the world of competitive bodybuilding promotion. From 1999 through 2007, he worked as a promoter for events sanctioned by the International Federation of Bodybuilding and Fitness, including competitions connected to the legendary Mr. Olympia franchise. He even produced and directed the IFBB San Francisco Pro Grand Prix events between 2001 and 2005. The man who would one day gesture dramatically at images of the Egyptian pyramids was, for nearly a decade, organizing competitions where men and women competed to have the most sculpted physiques on the planet. The contrast is almost poetic. Running parallel to his bodybuilding career, quietly and without much public attention, Tsoukalos maintained a completely different kind of professional life. From 1999 to 2008, he served as editor of Legendary Times, a magazine dedicated to ancient astronaut research and closely associated with the work of Swiss author Erich von Däniken. Von Däniken, whose 1968 book Chariots of the Gods became one of the most controversial non-fiction bestsellers of the 20th century, had spent decades arguing that extraterrestrial beings influenced early human civilizations. Tsoukalos did not merely read von Däniken's work from a distance. He absorbed it, promoted it, and eventually became the director of the Archaeology, Astronautics, and SETI Research Association, the organization built around von Däniken's foundational ideas. Two completely different professional worlds, fitness promotion and fringe archaeology, were running side by side in the same man's life, waiting for television to fuse them together. That fusion happened in 2009 when Ancient Aliens premiered on the History Channel. The show was built around the premise that extraterrestrial beings visited Earth during ancient times, influencing the rise of great civilizations and leaving physical evidence behind in structures that mainstream archaeology has never fully explained to the satisfaction of its producers. Tsoukalos became the face of that premise almost immediately. His energy was unlike anything else on cable documentary television. He did not offer cautious hypotheses wrapped in academic qualifications. He delivered theories with a kind of absolute theatrical conviction that made it impossible to look away, whether you believed every word or thought the entire enterprise was nonsense. By 2016, his role expanded significantly when he became a co-executive producer of the series, giving him genuine creative authority over the direction of future seasons rather than simply appearing on camera when called. The internet, however, had other plans for his legacy. Plans that no television executive could have engineered or predicted. Around November 2010, a still image from an episode of Ancient Aliens began circulating across message boards and early internet communities. The image captured him mid-gesture, hands raised, hair defying gravity, expression locked in a state of absolute conviction. Someone paired it with the caption, "I'm not saying it was aliens, but," and the result was an instant universal detonation of recognition. The meme worked not because it was cruel, but because it perfectly captured something everyone had encountered in real life. The person who presents completely unverifiable speculation with the confidence of someone announcing established scientific consensus. That tension between certainty and absurdity was universally legible, which meant the meme could be applied to everything from missing car keys to corporate meeting decisions without ever losing its comedic power. According to research compiled by Kittle Encyclopedia, search data from the period between June 2024 and May 2025 showed that the Ancient Aliens meme template was still generating thousands of monthly searches when paired with terms like meme generator. That is more than 14 years after the original image first spread across the internet. Most memes collapse within weeks. The fact that this one maintained cultural momentum across more than a decade says something genuinely remarkable about both the image itself and the man at its center. What Tsoukalos did with that meme fame separates him from almost every other public figure who has found themselves on the wrong end of internet mockery. During a Reddit AMA in 2015, he openly stated that he loved being part of the meme, describing it as an honor to have been embraced so widely by internet culture. That was not performance. That was self-awareness deployed with perfect timing. Rather than retreating or expressing wounded pride, he leaned into the joke and kept working, which had the paradoxical effect of making people respect him more, not less. In 2021, he made a cameo appearance on the SYFY comedy series Resident Alien, playing a version of himself hosting an ancient astronaut panel at a convention. The show's main character referred to him on screen as that high-haired gentleman, a direct wink at a decade of meme culture. He returned for another cameo the following year. The joke had become part of his professional brand, and he wielded it better than anyone else could have. The scientific community, however, has never stopped pushing back, and those criticisms deserve serious attention. Anthropologist Kenneth Feder, who holds a doctorate in the field, became one of the most persistent critics of the franchise, arguing that ancient astronaut theory depends on what some scholars describe as temporal chauvinism, the condescending assumption that ancient peoples were too intellectually limited to engineer remarkable structures without outside assistance. Feder argued in 2018 that mainstream archaeologists and engineers have already identified plausible construction methods for sites like Mayan temples and the Egyptian pyramids, making extraterrestrial explanations not a logical leap but an unnecessary one driven by spectacle rather than evidence. The criticism goes deeper than methodology. The Southern Poverty Law Center has specifically criticized the broader Ancient Aliens franchise for promoting what the organization described as racist pseudo-scholarship. The pattern critics identify is consistent and troubling. Civilizations built by non-European cultures, ancient Egyptian, Mesoamerican, South American, are repeatedly assigned alien explanations for their greatest achievements, while similar architectural accomplishments from European cultures rarely receive the same treatment. The implication, whether intended or not, is that certain peoples required supernatural assistance to achieve what others apparently accomplished through natural intelligence and ingenuity. That is a criticism worth taking seriously regardless of how entertaining the show may be. Tsoukalos himself has never claimed academic credentials in archaeology or anthropology. His educational foundation remains rooted in communications, and critics have argued for years that his confident on-camera delivery creates a misleading impression of scholarly authority for viewers unfamiliar with how peer-reviewed academic research actually operates. The show's recurring phrase, "Ancient astronaut theorists say yes," has been flagged by media literacy advocates as a language technique that presents speculation as though it represents established consensus within a recognized community of experts. Whether that framing is intentional persuasion or simply a production quirk, its effect on audiences is worth examining honestly. None of that criticism, however, has stopped the machine from moving forward. As of early 2026, Ancient Aliens reached its 22nd season, with new episodes airing on the History Channel, making it one of the longest-running documentary-style series in cable television history. According to listings tracked by Rotten Tomatoes, the show continued producing fresh content into 2026, though scheduling interruptions led to some planned episodes being temporarily replaced by reruns in early broadcast slots. The network's continued investment in new seasons suggests that commercial viability has consistently outweighed academic objections for over 15 years. Away from the cameras, Tsoukalos lives a life that is deliberately quiet compared to his theatrical television presence. He married Crix Biebel on March 10, 2013. She is a glass artist and jewelry designer who founded her own studio, Crix Biebel Creations, in 2006, crafting distinctive pieces using borosilicate glass, metal, and leather. Their relationship has remained almost entirely outside tabloid coverage, with no reports of significant personal controversies or separation. The couple resides in Los Angeles, California. It is a detail that humanizes him in ways the meme never could, a man with enormous internet fame sharing a quiet life in California with an artist who makes cosmic-themed jewelry and has never needed to publicly align herself with ancient astronaut theory. His cross-platform visibility has only grown as traditional broadcast television has faced increasing competition from streaming and podcast audiences. He has appeared on Coast to Coast AM, joined Joe Rogan on The Joe Rogan Experience, and continued attending conventions where audiences who first discovered him through the meme now show up genuinely curious about the ideas underneath it. That migration from cable television to podcast culture to convention circuit is exactly the kind of adaptability that keeps careers alive well beyond their expected shelf life. Celebrity Net Worth estimates his accumulated net worth at approximately $4 million, reflecting steady earnings across nearly 2 decades of television production, public appearances, and related media work rather than any single windfall. What Giorgio Tsoukalos represents, regardless of where you stand on ancient astronaut theory, is something genuinely rare in the modern media landscape. He is a man who found an unconventional idea, committed to it with complete sincerity, built a career around it before anyone told him it was possible, survived becoming an internet punchline by refusing to be embarrassed by it, and then continued showing up, season after season, platform after platform, meme after meme, with the same conviction he brought to his very first television appearance. The bodybuilding promoter from Lucerne who became the face of extraterrestrial archaeology never had a conventional path to walk. He simply kept walking his own, and the internet, for all its mockery, could never quite look away. That, perhaps more than any ancient mystery,